What's up, guys? This is another episode of the Spinoff Show. I had a fantastic guest on this one. TJ Johnson from the Voice from the Underground podcast joins the show. What's the Voice from the Underground? It is a pop culture and politics podcast that TJ hosts along with Jason Dutch and Big Haas. TJ's a great guest. He's actually been on the Jock and Nerd podcast on episode, I believe it was 209. Don't quote me on that. But it's the one where we review Black Panther. So TJ joined that episode. He was a great guest. I've done Jock Talks with TJ. I've been on Voice from the Underground's podcast myself. So TJ's a great guest. I enjoyed talking to him. We went in on religion. We went real deep on Game of Thrones analysis. We went real deep on Marvel character analysis. We did a little politics. We did a little exploration on communication. We talked about having kids. We then even included some Laker talk, which I know was going to upset TJ since the Lakers aren't in the playoffs. I had a beautiful conversation with TJ. Time to check it out. This is the Jock Spinoff Show. And we're live. Except not live. I use that intro every time, TJ, because I don't know how else to start the show, because I record the intro prior.
Right.
After we're done talking, so I know what the fuck we're talking about. So, we're here. TJ Johnson from Voice from the Underground podcast.
Yes.
How's it going, man?
I'm living the dream. I'm not sure whose dream I am living, but I am living it.
Do you think?
And I've come to find out that nightmares are dreams too, though. So,
do you think you were in this alternate reality where it's all AI and we think we're in a dream?
You know,
we're really
what?
just sleeping in some pod.
I wondered about that. I thought the Matrix was a little too realistic for me. Now you've got me. See, you know what? I came here for the Jock, and I've just been mind blown. So thank you so much for that.
Hey, no problem. I'm trying to just expand your mind without drugs.
Without drugs. I can't take a blue pill?
No, don't do that.
Take the red pill.
Don't do any. No pills. We're going cold turkey for this one, buddy.
Oh, snap. Cold turkey. We're doing it live.
Well, you're from the Voice from the Underground.
Voice from the
podcast.
Underground. Yes.
How did we? Was it Jason Dutch that got us all connected?
You know, the beautiful thing about being a podcast is that you're part of this, as we like to refer to it, you're like the Potter family, right? Everybody kind of dabbles. And the one thing I've noticed about it is that it's all love. Like there's no hate. Like I'm not going to be on that podcast, so that podcast is going to take off and blah, blah, blah. You know, like it's all love.
I agree.
So with that being said, Jason was the one that had already been a fan of your show, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Jock and Nerd. So he had already been a fan of the show, and he was like, dude, we got to get on there with these guys one of these days. And I think he just kind of set it up, and he kind of kept pestering Imran, and Imran was like, fine, if I could just get you to stop, you can be on the show for like 2 minutes. And the problem is, Jason doesn't do anything for 2 minutes.
No, not at all.
So I think his shortest tangent is like 5.7 minutes. So with that being said, he just kept pestering Imran. Imran finally let him on. And then I think I did the big guest spot for Black Panther.
You did episode 209 Black Panther. You joined the show. And
then you guys realized that, God, everybody from Voice of the Underground just keeps talking. None of those guys shut up.
All y'all talk so much. But you know what? This is it's podcasting. What are we going to do? We can't just look pretty.
I mean, we can't. But
we can, but no one's going to know unless we're live streaming.
Yeah, I'm not live streaming today. I don't want to live stream.
Dude, we used to live stream.
Did you really?
Yeah, there was this thing called Blab. It's out of business now, but it was 4 boxes with webcamming, so you could webcam. And we would do me, Imran, Rug Boy, and then we would have a fourth person kind of just putting the graphics up. And but then people can join the show and comment live. It was this weird fucking thing. We did it for maybe cool, it was cool, but it's kind of exhausting, man. Mentally going live every time and not having the fallback of, okay, I need to go pee, or like that I said something, that was little off.
Pull that back.
Let me just pull it back. Yeah, you can't take it back live. And then you'd have random people comment. It was just a lot to juggle. I don't know if I'd ever go live again unless someone was paying me.
You know, when I went to school for media, broadcasting, radio, television, all that good stuff. Shout out to Illinois Media School. But I went to school for that, and I had a radio show in there. We called it the Gentleman's Corner, Tuesday from 4 to 6.
Was this about strip clubs?
No, man. It was about the gentleman, just about being a modern day gentleman.
Well, Gentleman's Club. Come on, man.
No, corner.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, we played music, but I learned then how to host a radio show and live stream at the same time. So as I'm doing the radio show, as I'm playing the music, at that point I'm interacting with my Facebook Live crew and live streaming and talking with them and just kind of having fun behind the scenes. So that was my introduction, was learning how to do both radio and live stream at the same time. So
no kidding.
It's not easy because you're constantly on. Like you said, you don't get to pull it back. You don't get to take a break, so to speak.
No.
You gotta be ready. You gotta just be on 24/7, or not 24/7, but the entire time that you're on air, you've got to be on. So
it's mentally exhausting.
It can be exhausting. I was, physically pretty tired after my 2 hours of straight entertainment. I get why these entertainers are like exhausted. I always used to wonder, I'm like, dude, you're up there telling jokes like Kevin Hart. You come out sweating. Like, why are you so tired for? You've been up there talking for like 40 minutes. Like, why are you so tired? But that junk is exhausting. Just being able
his
to,
adrenaline. I mean, that's performing for him. That's exactly. Like an athletic endeavor.
And so I get it. I didn't understand that concept before, but I completely get it now.
I got a quick side story on my first time ever doing anything live via radio. In high school, we had a high school radio station.
Okay, that's what's up.
So we could play music.
High school. Look at you.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. You could only hear the radio station for maybe a 2-mile radius from the high school, but whatever, or maybe 5 miles. Who knows what the distance was? It was small. And at the time, I was playing music, and I was in between the music. I'd do some sort of voiceover to the next song, or do the weather, or some sort of update. It was it was like my live radio, MTV sort of feel. Except not no video.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so at the time, I liked Creed.
This is gonna be good. It
was the song. I like the song "Higher" by Creed. Can you take me terrible song,
higher? Right? Actually, you know what? It wasn't a bad song. There are worse songs you could have picked.
There are worse songs.
There are worse songs.
At the time, though, I liked the song.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I played it, and we had a phone line, so you could pick up the phone during the show. It wouldn't be wouldn't be aired, but you could take call requests or whatever if people wanted to request music.
Okay.
So this might be my 3rd or 4th time hosting the radio show. It would be, my 8th period class would be hosting the radio show. And then someone calls in. And holy shit, someone's calling in. They're liking my stuff. I'm going to check, this is great.
Mm-hmm.
Pick up the phone. All I get on the other line is, stop playing fucking terrible music. Click. And I just sit there and I'm just going to myself, I need to reevaluate everything. I've been playing music that I thought was good, and my first call ever is someone just bashing me and telling me to stop playing music.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So
and you were like, what, 16, 17? Your
I
whole
was
life
probably
is just
16 or
ruined.
17, and in that moment, I was just so dumbfounded. I just thought to myself, this whole time I've been lied to. Creed
was
is
at
terrible.
That moment that he was like, you know what, this might not be.
Might not be my thing.
lane. That might not be my lane.
I might not be the pop culture curator that I thought I was.
That's hilarious. See, now I'm as you're saying that, my initial reaction would have been, and I just got a call from a listener who wanted me to play it again. So here you go. Let's go. We're gonna take it another step higher with Creed.
You would have pushed it
been
even
that
further.
guy. Yeah, the funny thing is, they gave me a microphone, so you're gonna listen to everything I say. You're gonna listen to everything I want to listen to. Why? Because it's my show.
That's right.
So have a Coke, smile, and enjoy. Let's go higher.
You say that on all your shows. It's our damn show.
Actually, Haas says that.
Oh, Haas says it, but it's part of the show.
I'm not. I don't do the profanity. That's
you don't do profanity?
No. Not as a Christian, I don't cuss.
Really?
No profane words come from
At
my
all?
lips.
Really?
No, sir. No, sir.
You must. Well, how long have you ever sworn?
Dude, I was a sailor before. Are you kidding me? I had a life before I became a Christian.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, seriously.
Do you mind that I swear? Because I'm going to.
No, it doesn't bother me. Okay. You're a grown man. That's
cool.
That's your call. And that's the thing about Christianity is that the unfortunate truth is that it's so watered down and that everybody feels like, you can just do whatever you want to do. And at the end of the day, say you're a Christian and say you believe in Jesus Christ and that's it. And then you have the Christians who want to condemn everybody to hell. Right. So you have the Christians that want to say, you swear you're going to hell. Or you have the Christians that say you're gay, you're going to hell. Or you have the Christians that say, you are not pro-life, you're going to hell. You're pro-choice, you're going to hell. Like, here's the bottom line. The Bible teaches us, yes, that there are things that God says do, and there are things that God says don't do. But what he commands us to do as Christians is to love each other. We have to love the sinner and not the sin. We have to love the person. And even though that they might be in sin, even though they might be doing something that we don't agree with, we have to accept them for who they are. It's not my job to condemn you. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Oh,
and
yeah, definitely.
I think the problem with Christianity, and I shouldn't say the problem with Christianity, the problem with Christians.
The interpretation
of it, is that one, it's so watered down. And then two, everybody, it's always like, Bible thumpers. Like, I'm going to, you do something wrong, I'm going to beat you upside the head with the Bible. Nope. I'll tell you what the Bible says, and I'll tell you what's right and what's wrong as according to the Bible, and let the Bible be your standard and your judge, not me. That's not my place.
Right.
My place is to give you the information and try to bring more people to Christ, but not from the standpoint of, I don't agree with what you're saying, you're going to go to hell. Like, that's not my place to condemn you to that.
I think that's a very healthy mindset in regards to religion.
Like,
I actually grew up a Catholic.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went to Catholic school for up until high school. So I consider myself a Catholic Christian.
Okay. All right.
But I'm not I'm not nearly as religious as I used to be. I might do like the sign of the cross before I go to bed or something, say a little prayer.
Right.
But other than that, my whole view on religion is believe in whatever you want to believe in. It's not it's not on me to judge and tell you what to believe in or anything. But whatever you believe in, if it makes you a better person the next day, if you believe so strongly in whatever you believe in that it makes you be a better person and do better things and do good, then I'm all for it.
Absolutely. And that's kind of the way I look at it too. As long as you're not taking a crap on me. Like, right. Does that make sense? Like, don't tell me Jesus Christ didn't die on the cross for my sins. Don't tell me that, what I believe isn't real. I'm fine with you believing what you want to believe, and that's your prerogative to do so. As long as you're not trumping, quote unquote, on my. I did say not to get political on this show, right? And then I jumped.
We ain't
Trump.
trying to get too political.
Then I jumped Trump. I'm sorry, but Trump. As long as you're not, stepping on my toes in regards to my that doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? Like I want you to love who you want to love and believe in who you want to believe in. The fact that you said you grew up Catholic, that doesn't bother me. Now, the Bible doesn't teach us. The Bible teaches us specifically that there are no, it's just Christian. There isn't a Baptist, Catholic, Seventh-day Adventist, Jehovah's Witness.
Those interpretations came later.
Exactly. Yeah. But if you go by the standard, and if somebody can show you in the Bible where it says, have a Seventh-day Adventist, have a Catholicism, have a Jehovah's Witness. Like, if you can show me where that is in the Bible, then I'd go with it. But it just simply says you're a Christian.
Right.
If you believe Jesus Christ died for your sins, you're a Christian. That's it. That's not a, it's not a, it was never designed to be all these different branches of religion. It was just simply Christian. So I don't bother anybody that has any other views because, brother, you're entitled to that. That's not my place to tell you. I can give you the information. I can show you where it is and where it says what in the Bible. But other than that, that's entirely up to you to, to believe it or choose to go with it or not. And if you don't, brother, I still love you. Yeah. You still, I'm still going to treat you well. Like I said, I'm going to love the sinner and not the sin that they're in. But it's not my job to condemn you. So I feel like that's what a lot of Christians do, or so-called Christians do. And it gives true Christians a bad name, if that makes sense.
Oh, definitely. I like the delineation. You're not, you follow the Bible, but you're not there to judge people that don't follow it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, if you ask me a question, I'm going to be honest with you.
I appreciate the honesty.
But I'm not going to tell you you're going to hell. Like, nah, that's not my place. I'm going to tell you what the book says is going to send you to hell. But I'm not going to tell you, according to Tremaine, you're going to hell. Who am I?
Well, I want an honest answer on this one.
All right, go for it.
Jonah really live in that whale?
You know what was funny about Jonah is that he was just begging to just have have it taken away from him. He was like, I just don't want to deal with this anymore, God. Just let me go, let me die. Just let me not hold on to this cup anymore. So then God was like, all right, be careful what you ask for and put him in that whale.
I mean, to live in that whale, it had to be a big. I mean, it had to be like a blue whale, probably.
It had to probably be a beluga. Yeah, at least
a beluga whale. I don't think would.
No, yeah, probably a beluga whale wouldn't be big enough, would it?
No, it wouldn't be big enough.
Yeah.
It had to be a bigger whale. I mean, the sperm
killer whale. You think?
I see a killer whale. I feel like that's the only thing. That's when I take my science brain, I go, but the stomach juices would have fucked him up.
To do something. Yeah, you think so? I mean, maybe he sat on the tongue. Maybe he sat on the whale on the tongue. He didn't get down to the stomach yet. Maybe that's what.
Do you ever listen to Joe Rogan podcasts at all?
I haven't. No. Jason talks about it all the time.
I love it.
Listen to it. Yeah.
But he talks about how the people that wrote the Bible. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of theories that the people that wrote the Bible or people in the Bible, like the stories of the people in the Bible themselves, the stories aren't always literal. Yes. So, for instance, he said even back then, people could have been on hallucinogens or psychedelics back then and thought that, I'm fucking living in a whale when you were living in a house, like there's things just drugs aren't a new thing. These have been around.
A drug.
Apparently it is. R.I.P. Mr. Rick James.
Rick James.
So, I mean, I don't think everything in the Bible is supposed to be taken literally.
Yeah, that's my interpretation. I would agree with that. I think you have to understand that these are, that some of them might be stories to kind of exemplify Christ. And there are actually a lot of things that, Christ did that aren't even in the Bible. So we see all the miracles. If you go to in the New Testament, Luke, John, Mark, Matthew, where they talk about the miracles that Jesus performed, they talked about quite a few, the lepers and walking on water and the fishermen. But they'll say that there are a lot of things that Jesus did that aren't even in this book. But I think it's important to understand that there are lessons to be taken from the Bible. Obviously, the truth is none of us were there.
Right.
So at some point you have to make a decision to believe. Right. And even in the Bible, it'll tell you, there's a choice that you make. It's not something that's why, for instance, you don't see anywhere in the Bible where it says children are baptized. You can't be baptized as a child because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're allowing yourself to be open to. You don't know what you're giving up. Mm-hmm. You don't know enough about the world to say, I'm ready to commit myself to this life. You haven't done anything. You haven't lived. You don't know what sin is. So
why is that a thing for a lot of Christians to do it as a baby?
Well, I don't.
Or in Catholicism, I know for sure it happens as a baby.
Yes, yeah, and that's what I mean. That's why I say if you show me where, because the Bible's the standard. Mm-hmm. If you can show me where that happens in the Bible, then I'm all for it. If our job is to be like Christ and be like Jesus didn't.
That's Jesus to you, all right?
He wasn't baptized as a child. Jesus was 30. Was a grown man when he became a Christian. When he was baptized in the name of the Father.
Who baptized Jesus?
Oh my goodness, that's a fantastic question.
Did he baptize himself?
No, he didn't baptize somebody. He was baptized. He was baptized. You're gonna have me start wondering.
Now I'm thinking about it, because Christianity. I mean, he was starting it.
Yeah, well,
it was around.
It was around before. He had the Spirit before. They just had to refer to as the Holy Spirit.
He was starting the New Testament, the non-Jewish version of this.
Correct. Yes. So yeah, he was a start of being a Christian, so to speak. But the Holy Spirit was here before Jesus.
That's true.
Yeah. That's why you had Moses, and you had the parting of the Red Sea, and you had all these other miracles that were performed, through different people, Abraham and all his kids, and he lived. These guys back in the Old Testament lived to be 180, 200 years old. Oh yeah. In the Old Testament. Oh goodness, these guys live to be forever. Like, and I don't think, as I think about it now, I don't think I ever want to get to be 180 years old. I know let me take that back. I know for a fact that I don't want to be 180 years old.
What are you going to do at 100? I mean, your dick stops working at what? 65, 70?
I'm not 100% sure on when. I don't think I want to find out either.
Look, I got to ask an old guy.
Yeah, ask an old guy. That's not my lane.
So you got another 100. You got another 100. Let's say it ends at 70. You got another 110 years.
Yeah.
Where you're just dead. You're dead down there,
Yep.
That sucks.
I tell you what, as a Christian, I'm a married Christian. I don't ever like the idea of not being able to be with my wife. So
right,
that's a scary thought. That's the
first thing that came up to my head.
I see clearly. Like that was the first.
Yeah.
There's so many other things in the world to talk about, and the first thing he's like, "Well, wait a minute. That means it won't work. I can't perform. I'm going to be a member of the Unsullied Army in Game of Thrones."
Yeah, right. You love Game of Thrones.
I do. I was going to say that's something I do in every show. I always find a way to make a reference, no matter what I'm doing, to Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is the epitome of television for me. Yes.
Bro, so I started my Game of Thrones journey, I believe it was last fall. So
nice.
Fall of 2017.
Welcome.
I was late to the game, and one day one of my buddies gave me his HBO Go password, and I just thought to myself, I'm gonna just see what the hype was about. See, I didn't like Lord of the Rings at all. I never was a Lord of the Rings guy. I never saw the movie. I've never seen the movies.
Wow.
All those fantasy things with dragons and castles and knights.
Not your thing.
Not my thing at all. And you would think it's liking superhero movies like I do, that'd be similar, but for me it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
So I never really wanted to watch Game of Thrones, but then the hype was so high.
Yeah, it was palpable. You couldn't.
Yeah.
Couldn't.
So I just thought, okay, I got to watch this. So I threw on the first episode, and dude, I binged that show in probably 2 months. I watched all 7 seasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
that's what's up.
Yeah. So now I've been waiting for a year and a half, which isn't long compared to everyone else.
Yeah. Screw you.
I'm. First off, binging that show is the best way to watch that show.
No, that's false. And
you think so?
Here's why I'm gonna tell you that. Here's why I'm gonna tell you that. Because when you binge it, you need to have an ending. Like when you binge watch a show, you need to have an ending to that show.
That's true.
Like you need to binge watch a show that you don't know is gonna have multiple seasons. Like you need to binge watch a show that the show doesn't know it's gonna have multiple seasons. If the show knows it's gonna have like 3 or 4 seasons, it's only gonna spoon feed you stuff. It's gonna give you little drips. It's going to give you little drops. That's it. If I binge watch a show, I want to binge watch a show that didn't know it was going to be renewed. So it gives you a great story for the first season. You had no clue. Mm-hmm. So saying that to say, with Game of Thrones, it's just so good.
Yeah.
You go through the first season and you immediately ready to jump into the second season. You go through, and the worst seasons are still better than 97% of the stuff on television now.
Oh, there's no season for me. Yeah, go ahead.
No, there was for me, there was a slow season. The slower season was probably season 2. That was with that was when
Stan Esparathian shows up at Battle of Blackwater.
Battle of Blackwater, exactly. That was probably the slowest season. Just from a standpoint of they were really kind of setting the table. Again, with season 1, I don't think they knew how deep the rabbit hole was going to go.
No, they had no clue.
I think they were like, okay, this is good. Like we're good. They pretty much did the first book in season 1. Season 1 was pretty much the whole first book of A Song of Ice and Fire. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they realized exactly how to use a term from catching fire in the Hunger Games. I don't think how they realized how much it was going to catch fire. I mean, it was like Game of Thrones. Nobody knew about it, and all of a sudden everybody knew about Game of Thrones. And so
it helped that it was super violent and they had boobs on every episode.
Well, that's funny how, and if you, at binge watching the show, you'll be able to speak to this. But, in the first few seasons, it was much more sex, gratuity, much more nudity. And there was a shock value behind it. There was the whole point of, attracting an audience. And if you think about it, if you really stop and think about it, all the women that were vandalized and abused and sexually abused and just made to be in such pathetic positions have all risen to power.
Oh yeah, for
it's
sure.
like a complete, like the women pretty much run Westeros at this point. I mean, you got Cersei. I mean, obviously this is spoiler territory. So if you haven't seen season 7 of Game of Thrones, screw you.
Sorry about you.
Sorry, not sorry.
Right.
But, you got Cersei Lannister, who's, the queen of the first men, so to speak, who she's sitting on the throne. And you have, obviously Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen, who is coming to usurp that throne from Cersei because she's the quote unquote rightful heir. So she thought until we find out Jon Snow was secretly named Aegon Targaryen. So you've got
even prior to that, remember that episode? I think it was in season 7. Mm-hmm. It might have been season 6. I get them confused because I binge watched it. Mm-hmm. But it was they're in I believe it's season 7. They're in Daenerys's.
Yep, it was season 7. Yeah.
They're in the castle.
The Queen of Thorns. Yep, you had the Queen of Thorns.
They're in her see, I forgot all their names because it's so long. Yeah. What's her last name?
It was Tyrell. So it was Tyrell.
No, Daenerys' last name.
Oh, Targaryen.
They're in the Targaryen. Are they in the
Dragonstone?
Dragonstone. There we go. Yeah. And it was Daenerys.
I do this.
Yeah, I love it. I need it. Dude, I used to be all up on this, and it's been so long. But there's Daenerys Targaryen, Margie Tyrell, Yara, and girl from Dorne.
Yeah.
The mistress.
Oh, hold on. Wait, don't say it.
She got the
Elia Martell? No. Elia Martell was a sister. It was Martell something.
Fucking A.
It was Oberyn's wife.
Oberyn's mistress wife.
Yeah, whatever.
But it was them 4.
Right.
They're scheming.
All the women.
I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah. All these women are plotting to take over.
Yeah.
These are all the women in power.
And if you think about it, because you said you didn't really watch like the Lord of the Rings and things like that, but it's usually when you see those type of war councils, it's usually a bunch of old men with gray beards. They're all hanging down and we should do this and this is why and blah, blah, blah. When you look at that scene and it's all the women who are in power and are making these political decisions and these power plays and who should send what armies where and so on and so forth. And then if you actually even go further into that season 7, every time a guy came up with the plan, Tyrion Lannister, it was the wrong plan and it backfired. And then that's when I can't think of the Queen of Thorns. I just can't think of her first name right now, but the Lady Tyrell.
Margie.
She was it Margie?
Wait,
I don't think it was Margie. I could be wrong, but I just feel like Margie is just very.
Margie wasn't all that. I don't
feel like Margie was the name.
Olenna Tyrell?
Olenna, there it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
Olenna. And she was just like all these clever men with these clever plans.
Yep.
But you're a dragon. Be a dragon. And, at first she fights against it because she even asked Jon Snow at that time, what should I do? And Jon was like, well, if you'll just be more of the same if you go and burn everything down. We don't want more of the same. This is back when, they had their little cave, their little romp in the cave. And all of a sudden it was like Google eyes at Jon Snow.
Well, it was also not only that they don't want more of the same, but if she came in as a Targaryen and burned everything down, they would go, oh, it's just more another fucking Targaryen. Yeah,
another Targaryen.
By the way, Ellaria Sand.
Thank you, Ellaria Sand.
She was the lover of the Martell dude.
There you go.
Oberyn Martell.
That's because all the people that were bastardized.
Bastards. You get the name. Sand and Dorne. Yep.
Sand was in Dorne. You're right.
Yeah.
So that was just an awesome scene. That whole war council scene, and the one thing I can say in particular about season 7 was while I enjoyed it, it was probably the weakest story season in the entire Game of Thrones. Reason being is that it became much more interested in fan service. All these different moments and all these different things that happened were very fan service-y. Like
let me say something there though. Mm-hmm. By the time we got to season, I loved season 7 just because of that. Because, bro, we've been kicked in the gut so many goddamn times through the 6 seasons. It was time for us to start cheering.
It's time
to
get some wins, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, we get Daenerys just destroying the Lannister army. Yep. We get fucking Littlefinger's throat being slit. We get Jon Snow finally hooking up. Jon Snow's reveal. I mean, we got so much good shit. I was like, fucking A. It's finally time for the good guys to get a little something.
But that was the whole. But if you think about it, Jon Snow's been. Excuse me. If you think about it, Jon Snow's been saved since he's been under plot armor since season 3, season 4. Like the thing that made Game of Thrones so must see television, especially for people that didn't read the books at first,
was it Anyone Can Die?
Was Anyone Can Die?
Yeah, true.
And then it got to a point where, okay, once you killed off the majority of the Starks, then the ones that were left, you could tell that they were pretty heavy plot armor and they weren't going anywhere.
Yeah,
even when Jon got stabbed by the Night's Watch,
you
knew he wasn't dead.
Even
he
I
wasn't
knew.
dead for a couple. You knew he wasn't dead for a couple reasons. Because one, at the beginning of the next season, they literally, instead of burning his body, they pulled him into a room.
Yeah.
Like, why? You haven't pulled anybody else into a room before. And with the Night King approaching and the White Walkers raising the dead, everything's been burn the bodies. Why are you hesitating? That's number one.
That's true.
Number two, there were too many things that just happened to happen. Like, all of a sudden, the Lady Melisandre shows up at Castle Black, and she's there, and then Jon Snow happens to get stabbed, and she's been the one that's been the priestess for the Lord of Light, trying to resurrect people and using her power. You know what I mean? Like, there were just too many things that just happened to happen. That is like, all right, guys, like, you can tell when
she knew that he was the chosen one.
She didn't know Jack.
He's
just
the
like
man.
Just like Stannis was the Lord of Lights.
I actually enjoyed that she didn't know shit.
Yeah, I did too. What I even enjoyed more was her begging. She was just like, please. It's like, this has to work. Please, 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 please.
Yeah.
Please. Like, I thought that was very desperate, but I thought it was very poignant because there are times, even as a Christian, there are times where you start to wonder, even, not to circle back to Christianity, but even Jesus Christ, when he was on the cross, felt like he was being abandoned. He felt like God had abandoned him. He even called out to God as he gave up his life almost, why have you abandoned me? So it's very poignant because there are times where you want to have your faith rewarded. That's the whole point of faith. Faith is being able to look at an obstacle that you're right in front of you and not seeing a way out, but having the understanding to say, you know what, but it'll work out. That's faith.
Yeah.
And what she did was essentially she went out on a limb. She was like, please.
But you can see the doubt.
Oh, absolutely. You can definitely see the doubt.
That's very human. That no one is infallible. Like everyone has their breaking point, and that was that character's. Here she was near her breaking point.
She was, and I'm happy that she was rewarded. But it just, like I said, you had too many things that were just too much fan service. I want fan service, but I don't want fan service at the expense of storytelling. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I hear you. I think season 8. I think this season. I think we're getting back to anybody can die.
At this point,
my
you're
prediction.
in the end game. People have to die,
right?
Like this is it. Like there is no more after this. So people, you've got to thin the herd at this point. What's been interesting is that I've been trying to gauge my excitement level as compared to Avengers Endgame. Right?
Ooh, that's a good question.
You think about it, we've been on both of these rides for about 10 years now.
Yeah, it's about the same time span.
Yeah, it's just about the same time. Maybe, a little bit less for Game of Thrones.
A little bit less,
because there's so many more. Well, I don't even know if I could say that there's so many more hours.
There's more hours. There's more hours. Let's say the Marvel movies are about 2 hours or so. So 21 movies about
21 movies, 2 hours.
Let's say 50 hours.
Okay,
some of the movies are long.
50 hours there, and you've got
Game of Thrones is like 67.
That's true.
68, 70.
Yeah. I'll say if you got 60 minutes per episode, you're 7 seasons in. The first 6 seasons had 10 episodes per season. You're sitting at 60 hours already. So So with that being said, you spend about the same amount of time with both of these. But for me personally, because I know that there's no more Game of Thrones after this,
it's over.
I think that's where my attention really is. As much as I want to see Endgame, and especially these trailers are just driving me nuts, man. The more trailers I see, the more my excitement just starts to escalate even further.
Yeah, man.
But the truth of the matter is that I know for a fact that there's no more Game of Thrones. There's going to be more Marvel, and especially with the recent completion of the acquisition of Fox's entertainment package. So now they've got all the X-Men. They've got all the, Fantastic Four characters, Doctor Doom. So they've got so much more to work with now. There's going to be plenty more Marvel films. I mean, you're going to be we're going to see Marvel films until, we're 60, 70 years old.
Where I'm at is I have more of a longer term connection with Marvel, so that's where my heart is.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. We're gonna see Marvel films for a long time.
Right.
I do think my prediction is I think this is the last go around for a lot of the leads. So Chris Evans, I think his contract's up. Chris Hemsworth, Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. I think they might be all leaving after this. So that is sad in my opinion to see those characters go, and they might write off those characters.
Oh, absolutely.
So that'll be sad. But I agree with you. Game of Thrones. This is definitely the last story for this. I know. I think HBO did commission some prequels.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So we'll see some more stuff.
Robert's Rebellion.
We got to see all that.
If you go back, so I know you watched it through HBO Go, but if you ever get a chance to find the DVDs or find the Blu-rays, there's a lot of great content on there.
Oh, I looked
talk about the history and the lore. Exactly.
I love it.
I'm hoping that they dive into Robert's Rebellion. I'm hoping that they dive into so many other things.
Oh, even like the first men coming over and encountering the children of the forest, and then why the children of the forest had to make the fucking White Walkers.
Had to make the White Walkers, and I'm sure we'll see. I mean, we've seen the origination of the first of the Night's King.
Yeah.
We've seen that in season 6, I want to say.
Oh wow, you really know.
Yeah, I think that was season 6 where they actually showed that episode where they created the Night King.
Yep.
But I like to dive more into that because you really want to know what his end game. I'm curious because he's clearly not just. If they were just zombified and just whatever, they wouldn't be as strategic as they are. They think they have a modus operandi. They have a way of doing things. So I'm really curious to dive more into understanding the Night King's motive and what he's ultimately looking for. Which it could just be to take over the world. Some people just want to watch the world burn. I get it.
He might be the Joker.
He could just be the Joker, but I am curious. And before I get too far away, I think Chris Hemsworth is going to re-up as Thor.
Yeah, I think so too.
3, after Thor 3, he felt really rejuvenated about the character.
I think so too,
and I was really fired up to do it. So
I'm mostly just sad to see, as I know Chris Evans is going to go.
Well,
you don't like him? He's Captain America.
No, I love him. No. Let me be very clear. I absolutely love Chris Evans, and I love Tony. I love Robert Downey Jr. I love Tony Stark. Here's the thing, though. I don't know if. I don't know if Chris Evans is going to be done, because he's back and forth so many times.
That's true.
Because even after the first couple ones, he was like, I really don't want to do it. But then when you keep putting out hit after hit after hit, it's really hard to turn that down.
And that Marvel money is probably really nice.
That Marvel money is pretty sweet. And especially if they can start doing things where maybe he only appears, maybe he doesn't do any more standalones.
Right.
Maybe he just does ensemble pieces and he doesn't have to do them as often or as frequently. And then he can have his time to do directorial stuff because he really wants to get behind the camera too.
I heard about that. Yeah.
So it's like if you can do that type of stuff, or even just have the ability to branch out. He's done a couple different indie films, Snowpiercer, and some other things that were definitely not Disney-esque movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he wants the ability to kind of expand his horizon, which I get, and I want him to do that. But that doesn't mean you have to stop necessarily being Captain America. You can just kind of slow it down, or just make sure you show up in Avengers films. We don't necessarily need another Captain America solo film. We don't need another Iron Man solo film. I don't need any of those.
No, I don't either.
And the thing about, and then, speaking on Iron Man, dude, all you have to do is just walk around and be Tony Stark. You don't have to put, that's probably not you when you do the action scenes anyways, to be honest with you.
It ain't him.
It's not you. So why are you?
No,
I'm too old for the role. He's not too old for the role.
Yeah, he's set. I could see him doing that role for a very long time.
Yeah, there's no reason for you. I mean, if you choose to stop, then the guy be the glory. But let's not pretend like you have to stop. We don't know who you are behind that helmet. Same thing when you have, people were saying, or Black Panther. He's actually relatively old.
Chadwick Boseman's like 39.
He's like 30. I thought he was in his 40s.
He might be. Let me look it up real quick.
I think he's in his 40s. But the point is, they didn't catch him at 25.
Black don't crack.
One, black don't crack, but they didn't catch him at 25. Yeah.
They
didn't catch him at 25. They caught him late. So, how many Black Panthers does he have? Well, it doesn't really matter. When he puts the helmet on, we don't know who you are.
I love that Chadwick Boseman just gets to play every prominent African American role.
Absolutely.
Jackie
we have
Robinson.
Black history. Yeah.
You get what's his name?
James Brown,
James
Jackie
Brown.
Robinson.
Then he gets to be T'Challa.
Yep.
You know, who's going to play Chadwick Boseman when Boseman is real old?
I don't know, but he's definitely Black History Month rolled up into one person.
He gets all the awesome
February.
roles.
It's pretty sweet. But yeah, it's like they get these guys and they talk about how he can't keep doing a role. Well, why not? Like, we don't know who you are behind the mask. Like, brother, just all you got to do is just, say a few lines and just put the helmet on. We don't care.
Most of these people don't do their own stunts anyways.
No, you don't do your own. And that's my point. Like, you're not doing your own stunts half the time. All you have to do is get in shape.
Right.
And if the worst thing you got to say is you have to get in shape, come on, man. Seriously.
Real quick on the Night King, it crossed my mind, and I heard this theory online after I got inundated with Game of Thrones.
Say Bran?
Is he? He looks like him.
You know what was interesting?
I don't know how that's going to work, though. That's the only thing.
I don't know. Well, if you think about it, because remember, if you go back to season 6, Hold the Door.
He gets touched by the Night King.
He gets touched by the Night King, and then because of him being, did Hodor become Hodor because Bran went back in time?
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? So like,
it's that time loop.
Yeah. It is. It's that whole when you start playing with the time continuum and. So I am curious. They've been made mention to him being Bran the Builder as well. They kind of started all this from the very beginning.
Oh, that's right.
So there's a theory about that.
Do you remember too the Night King for the first whenever you first see him up until about season 6 looks slightly different. And then,
they had different people playing.
And then the season 6, the guy that plays the Night King looks kind of like Bran, and Bran's got a fucking pretty distinguishable nose, and the Night King has a pretty similar nose. I don't know. Yeah. I've seen that theory online. I don't know if I necessarily like it.
Yeah, I don't know if I do. I don't dislike the idea of Bran being the Night King. I don't think it's because of the actor. Mm-hmm. But it would be pretty interesting to see if he actually ultimately becomes the guy that has to kind of to be that. It's almost like you look back at the Matrix, and in the Matrix, the whole point of the one, quote unquote, was to go back and reboot the system. Right? Mm-hmm. That was the whole reason behind the anomaly of the one, was to go back and make the choice to restart the system with, however many humans to repopulate Zion. So it'd be interesting if that ultimately becomes Bran's decision, or if you're a gamer. I don't know if you've gamed at all, but I'm a
little
gamer.
bit. I dabble mostly in the sports games.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I used to play this game called Mass Effect, and very similar concept where you had to make a decision on how the human race moves forward. Do you destroy all the robots and allow the humans to kind of start from scratch, if you will, from the standpoint of they don't have any technology? Do you do a merger and combine synthetic life with organic life to create this new hybrid? Or, so you have this Deus Ex Machina choice to make, where you have to make a decision that ultimately just affects everyone. And, with Bran, if the theory of Bran being the Night King is correct, then it'll just be a very similar response to this whole Deus Ex Machina theory. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious. I am curious to see how that plays out. I don't know if I'm completely sold on him being the Night King, but I have heard that theory online before, many, many times.
Have you heard the theory online about Gendry being Cersei's bastard son?
Yep, I've heard that theory.
Because he mentions how his mom had golden hair, right? Mm-hmm. And then Cersei mentions how she had another kid, and she
had the kid taken away.
Had the kid taken away, and it would make sense that the kid would be still in King's Landing, so she could keep an eye on him. Because what I've grown to enjoy about Cersei is that despite how evil she can be,
she's nuanced.
And she's in an era where women are completely marginalized. So she's schemed and figured out a way to get to the top despite that. Right. And she has undying love for her kids. She will do anything for her kids. She
does. I think, but the problem with that is that then you would go back to the whole prophecy told by Maggie, the frog or whatever that soothsayer was called back in. Go back to season 5. I want to say, that flashback scene.
Yeah. What did she say again? See, I forgot all that shit.
You have 3 kids. The king will have many kids, but you will only have 3. Gold will be their hair. Gold will be their shrouds. Mm-hmm. You will be usurped by someone younger and prettier than you. Say you'll be the queen, but only for a time. You'll be usurped by somebody younger and prettier than you. The king will have many kids. You will only have 3. So, if you go back and if you take a look at, this is going to get a little, we're going to deep dive a little bit.
Let's do it.
If you go back and look at some of the trailers, the last trailer that they released, you'll notice that, in that trailer, Cersei was drinking wine.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go back to the end of season 7, she had turned down wine because she was pregnant.
Yes.
So
that's right. She has a kid coming.
She had a kid coming. But if you go back and watch the last trailer, she was drinking wine, which leads me to believe that, it leads me to believe that she ends up miscarrying or, stillbirth, whatever the case may be. The kid doesn't end up having a kid. So it would
kids
be
keep her grounded.
Kids do keep her.
They keep her
as much as they could.
Yeah, as much as you can keep Cersei grounded, but the kids at least tether her a little bit to reality. When she's kidless, watch out.
And I tell you, I remember back in season 2 when they had the battle at the
Blackwater.
At Blackwater, and she was in the throne room with Joffrey and was about ready to give him, was it milk of the puppy? No.
Yeah,
she was ready to poison
one of those fucking things with the cool name.
Yeah. She was ready to poison him.
Milk of the poppy's a healing agent.
Is it a healing? I thought it was just the
I think it's just something to numb it. I believe.
Yeah, it was tears of list, but milk of the poppy is just to numb the pain.
Yes.
Yeah, because even when Robert after he got stabbed by the boar, they're like, "Well, bring him milk of the poppy."
Milk of the poppy.
So, it's just like a hallucinogen in a liquid form, essentially. Be high as a kite, but yeah. So she was giving him tears of whatever you just
said. I think I believe that's what it was called.
Yeah, and she was right about to give it to him right before Tywin rides in there saying, "We have won," and so you see that to say, even Cersei has this moment of clarity where she was like, I'd rather us all die than for my son to go through this torment that's about to happen.
Well, if the breath, he would torture the kid.
Yeah, because he would absolutely just slaughter everybody. Right. And there was no reasoning with Stannis.
No.
Stannis was not somebody to be reasoned with. Stannis was a force. He was a blunt object.
Yeah, he had believed that he was the rightful king, so there was nothing going to stop him. And he felt everything he was doing was right.
Absolutely. And
he felt he was the prince that was promised.
He was told that. He was only told that.
That's true.
While we're talking about that son of a gun named Stannis, I have to tell you.
What was his dude's, but what was his, I'm trying to remember the names. What was his follower's name with the fingers that were cut off?
I
like him.
Davos.
Okay, yeah. I'm just trying to remember the names.
He's a good guy.
I like
Davos. He just seems to jump from, king to king to king. But I digress. I was excited when Stannis finally got his because I got to tell you, he was beyond
saving when he burns his kid,
when he burned his daughter, when he burned Shireen. I want to say it was Shireen.
Yeah, that was rough. That was a rough episode.
That was the toughest. I don't think I've ever had an episode of Game of Thrones where I have a hard time watching again. Even the Red Wedding. I've been able to watch the Red Wedding multiple times, and I remember the very first time I watched the Red Wedding, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is insane to see." A pregnant fetus being stabbed and to just go through and massacre the entire Stark name that was at that wedding and all the Stark men. And that was just a very brutal thing to watch.
I was lucky that I didn't catch any spoilers because the Red Wedding was a complete. I thought Robb Stark was the hero of the show. And I literally screamed at the TV, "Holy fuck, they slaughtered the Starks. What the fuck?" It took me like a minute to get, I was like, I don't know if I can continue watching the show.
Yeah, it was tough, man.
I'm like, this show's bullshit. They're killing all my main characters. What are we doing here? But I digress.
No, I get it.
That
I
episode,
felt the same way.
Where they burn Shireen at the stake, and when what's his face makes Reek Theon watch as he rapes Sansa.
Yeah.
Ramsay.
You know what? I have to admit that that one for what it was, they did it very tastefully because they didn't let you see anything.
You didn't see it, no.
But the problem with it is that it allowed your mind to create what happened.
And then I think that's strategic.
Dirty.
Yeah, I think that's strategic.
You feel dirty after that.
It's true.
Because you recreated in your head whatever happened on that screen. You just made it real.
Yeah, that's true.
And so that left me feeling dirty that day. But it really did, because it was like I know that I didn't see it, but I imagine what happened. Yeah, because you can hear it, and
you can hear it, and you just see Theon like crying,
you see his tears. Yeah, you just see him like he just breaks. And but going back to Stannis and that episode where the daughter burns, there were so many different layers that happened, because you can see initially Stannis was like, no, absolutely not. He was like, nope, I'm not even going to consider it. And then you can see where he starts to break, and you can see where his desperation starts to kick in. And then I think the part that really, there were two parts that really got me on that episode. The first part was that she was so willing to do whatever she could to help. She was like, Daddy, I want to help. Yeah. She was like, Daddy, I want to help. Whatever it takes, I want to help.
Right.
Like, to have that spirit of a child, to just want to help their dad, and just be so happy that the dad acknowledges her. Because obviously, if you remember, the mom
hated the daughter.
Really seemed to hate her. I think she just seemed to hate what she represented. I don't think she really hated the daughter.
Yeah, because you see that at the very end when the mom's like, stop! What are we doing?
And that's
here?
my point. And that's my point. You know, very similar to Catelyn Stark, how she didn't hate Jon Snow. She hated what Jon Snow represented.
Right.
And shouts out to Ned Stark for playing the best game of Keep a Secret in the history of Westeros.
Ned is the most noble man ever. Unbelievable.
But saying that,
when I grow up, I want to be Ned Stark.
You know, I don't know. I think I want to be smarter than Ned Stark.
That's true. That is true. He does not know how to play the game.
And you know what? But that
But
goes
he kept
to show
his
you that
integrity the entire time.
You know, but what's your integrity worth if at the end of it you lose your life and your whole family is now tormented at the end of it? Like, you know, what's it worth to you? But that's another question for another day.
Yeah. That's all personal morals and all that shit.
It really is.
Which is why the show's a beautiful show.
That's the mark of a great show. It makes you think about all that stuff.
Right.
But so when you see that scene, you see Cheyenne start to head towards it, and you can start to see the terror fall over her when she realizes what's about to happen. Well,
because kids, especially at that age, especially the way that she was portrayed,
they're so gullible.
She's so gullible, and they almost have a psychic bond to their, you know, they're a part of their dad. And then at the last minute, for someone that you've admired and thought to be this hero of your life, and someone that the only person that respects you, to turn on you like that and be so cold, it's got to be devastating.
And then for me, you know, I have a 7-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
So it anytime you see anytime there's something on TV where it's a dad and a daughter team, and something happens to the child, I'm the biggest baby. I'm crying. Right. I'm crying every time. I cried like a little punk when this scene happened, and then I got mad. I was very upset with Game of Thrones. I almost said I wouldn't watch it again. Because it was just such a heart-wrenching thing to see. And it's like, I've dealt with the deaths of entire families. I've dealt with, you know, slaughtering people at weddings. I've dealt with quite a bit in this show.
That was
where I came really close to saying, you know, you guys are crossing the line for me, is when they burnt the daughter. And then seeing the way the mother reacted, you know, you talked about the mom, seeing how she was just so cold and despondent to the child. And then all of a sudden turn and just have this gut-wrenching scream, this gut-wrenching response. It was just hard to watch.
Yeah, it was tough. But it did its job in making you think absolutely. How far Stannis has gone off the ledge.
Yes, and it definitely did its job by saying, I can't wait till Stannis gets his. And Brienne of Tarth finally came up to him, and I was just like, get him.
Well, you could tell at that point, what was great about that scene, though, is you can tell he's sitting there and he's just resigned to the fact, oh my God, I fucked up.
Yeah,
I fucked this, because prior to that, half his army deserts him. Mm-hmm. He goes into the forest. He sees his wife's just hung herself, and then he goes in and he fights Ramsay's army, and he's terribly outnumbered.
Yeah, but he can't turn back.
But he can't turn back, and
it's
at
far gone.
And it's at that moment when he's sitting there in the tree, and Brienne of Tarth is right there, and he's just like, do it, like it's over.
Yeah,
I fucked up.
Just do what you came for.
Right.
You know, go ahead and finish it. And I was just like, yep, go ahead and finish it. I very seldom root for somebody to die, but I was ready. He had to go.
Now
he's one of the few who had to go.
Who is your favorite, or one of your, or one character you enjoy? Yeah, I know it's too tough, right?
Before I knew Jon Snow was that guy, it was Jon Snow.
Did that catch you by surprise?
It did.
Me too.
I wasn't prepared for Jon Snow to be that guy.
Me neither.
But I knew he was that guy after season 4's Watcher on the Wall fight, where, you know, they fought at Castle Black. They fought the Wildling Army out of Castle Black. And it's like, okay, this guy is...
There's something to this.
It's him.
Yeah.
he's the one. He's that guy. He's got plot protection now. He's not gonna... They're not gonna kill off Jon Snow now. And so once I realized that he was becoming extremely popular and that Kit Harington was becoming the focal point of the show and everybody was just falling in love with Kit. I'm that guy that doesn't like to jump on the popular stuff. Like you mentioned how you didn't watch Lord of the Rings. I didn't watch Lord of the Rings when it was in the theaters. I waited until everybody stopped talking about it. As a matter of fact, I remember the first time I seen a scene from Lord of the Rings. It was during Return of the King, and it was like halfway through the movie. And my mother and I, we were going to the movie to see something. And we were like, yeah, I'll just walk in here until the movie starts. So we walk in and I'm just seeing this battle and I'm like, oh, what the heck is this? What did I walk into and what am I supposed to go see? Cause I don't want to leave. So at that point, once it came out of the theaters and once the extended cut got released, I bought all of them and just kind of had a marathon session, which is a solid, you know, full work day worth of watching movies to get on all of the Lord of the Rings before they came out with the other trilogy. So in saying all of that, I don't tend to jump on bandwagons when everybody else jumps on. I jump on the bandwagon when everybody else typically jumps off. So once everybody jumped on Kit Harington's bandwagon, I jumped off. So at this point, my favorite character is kind of, it's going to be really weird. And you're gonna judge me. No,
I don't judge. Only God can judge you, man.
Hey, all right, now you preaching.
No, I'm only human. I'm gonna judge you.
It's Theon.
Theon. Oh, I like that. Yeah. I like that.
And here's why: there hasn't been a person that's had a bigger arc than Theon. There hasn't been a character on that show that has had a bigger palette, if you will. You know, I told you I went to school for media and broadcasting, so I'm an aspiring actor, and I've gotten to do some small roles when I say small roles, like not even credited roles, but I got to be an extra in that last movie with Viola Davis and Liam Neeson, Widows.
Oh, nice.
I got to have a part in a small indie film that I was filming when I was back in Chicago. So I have a soft spot for actors or thespians, if you will, that actually get to show range. And Alfie, Alfie, whatever his last name is, but Theon has had to have such a dynamic character arc that it's been really fun to grow with him.
Alfie Allen, by the way.
Alfie Allen.
I got the computer. I'm looking this up as we go. I'm not smart.
I'm usually pretty good at names, but I
just got the Google machine firing on all cylinders.
It's 1:30 over here, so my brain is still working. But it's just like, we're winding down, buddy. But say Alfie Allen has had such a great character arc, and just watching him, rise and then drop so low and then have to kind of slowly build himself back up. It's been a lot of fun. There were some moments that were very cringeworthy. It was hard watching him get tortured.
That was rough.
You hated him when he turned on the Starks at Winterfell.
Kill some kids.
Yeah, you hated him for that.
Yeah.
But even then you knew that he was conflicted. You knew that he wasn't sure that what he was doing was the right thing.
One of my favorite scenes is when season 7, when he talks to John.
Yeah.
And John,
you always know what to do.
Yeah, John's basically, kind of like a Jesus figure. He scolds him a little bit, but then he forgives him, and he goes, "You're a Stark and you're a Greyjoy. Yeah, you're both.
Yeah,
don't ever forget that. Yeah, don't lose your identity. You're both. You don't have to pick a side. This is your identity.
Yeah, and it was funny when he was just like, he's like, for everything I can forgive you for, I do. He's like, I can't forgive you for everything, but what I can, I do forgive you.
Right.
And then he was like, you always know what to say. you always know what to say. Or you always know the right thing to do.
Is that your Theon accent?
No, it wasn't quite. It was my crying man accent.
There you go.
Not quite Theon. But he was like, you always know what to say. And he was like, it might look like it, but I promise you I don't.
Yeah. See, but that's the thing. I can't ever, I know that it's fun now to hate on Jon Snow, but his character's written. I mean, besides the protection, his character's written really well. the things he says. I love his approach to things. Now he's not the best at playing the game. Evidenced by the fact that he can't fucking lie to Cersei in that giant meeting for 1 fucking second.
Well, hold on now. Let's be very clear. Ned Stark couldn't play the game.
No.
Jon Snow.
He can play it he can play it better than Ned.
Jon Snow
for sure.
can play, and the reason why I say this is because you look at these characters, especially a character like Daenerys Targaryen, right? And it's funny, it's something about these Targaryens who they're leaders without trying to be, without necessarily wanting to. They're reluctant leaders, but they're good at it. They're good at inspiring people in their own different way, and they're adaptable. They have adaptability to their situation. So if you look at Daenerys Targaryen, right? She was sold as a slave, or not as a slave, but she was essentially sold to Khal Drogo.
Yep.
She turned that into a powerful marriage. She turned that into having a Dothraki army. She turned that into getting the Dothraki army to Astapor. She turned that into going from Astapor to Meereen and getting Yunkai and getting the slaves, the slave masters to be, dethroned essentially by the slaves. She was able to turn that into a power play to get an unsullied army. So now she's got 3 dragons and all this stuff that these are all things that were supposedly bad that happened to her. And she was able to adapt and fix it. Same thing with Jon Snow. Jon Snow did things that nobody had ever done prior to. He was able to make a merger between, the wildlings and the Night's Watch.
Yeah, that's true.
It cost him his life, so to speak, but he was able to get things done because Jon Snow sees the end game. He's not about playing this Game of Thrones. He could care less about the thrones, which is why I'm really interested to see what happens when Bran and Samwell Tarly get a chance to talk to Jon. Be like, hey, Jon, so that's your auntie.
And you're the king,
and you're the true heir to the throne.
Well, don't forget too, he's the first. I believe he's the first ever bastard king in the North.
Well, he's not a bastard.
That's true, but everyone thinks he's a bastard.
Oh, but I see what you're saying.
He's convinced. He's convinced all the North to accept him as a king without even trying.
And then the sad thing is, he didn't even want that either.
He doesn't want
reluctant leader.
All he's on the side of is life. He just wants to fight for the living.
Fight for the living, exactly. Right. So that's it's funny if you ever get a chance to. There's this channel on YouTube. It's called The Take.
Okay.
It's based off of a Screen Prism.
Oh, I like
it's
Screen
like a
Prism.
subset. Yeah. So it's a subset of Screen Prism. It's called The Take, and it's essentially these 2 women who break down philosophically different things, and they have this entire 22 video thing on Game of Thrones. Shout out to The Take for that, because they do some really good stuff.
Dude, Screen Prism in general. Have you watched the video they did on Captain America?
I haven't watched that one, but I did watch I watched the video that not Screen Prism but Wisecrack, which is another great. I'm such a YouTube guy now.
Oh, me too.
I could literally spend my entire day watching YouTube.
Me too, dude. It's crossed my mind more than once to unplug and just go Netflix, YouTube, but I digress. You did?
I unplugged. I'm just Netflix, YouTube, Hulu.
Oh,
I don't even bother with cable anymore. But the point is, I watched this Wisecrack, and what Wisecrack does is they do philosophical breakdowns on movies. So they show you, like for Civil War, I remember I've gone on record a couple times. I think I was even on Jock and Nerd when I talked about how I wasn't a fan of Civil War.
Okay.
Because it diverged so much from what happened in the comic books.
Sure.
But then after watching that Wisecrack and kind of seeing the way from a philosophical standpoint, they broke down and showed how this one was actually made much more sense than what happened in the comic books. It's since then leaped up a couple spots in my favorite list. So
nice.
That's another channel to check out. I'm all about giving Wisecrack. Yes.
Here's a couple for homework for you. So I'm gonna watch The Take, Game of Thrones. You have to watch the Screen Prism Captain America.
Okay.
That one's really good.
That means you got to have me back on so we can talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, you'll be back on. This isn't a one-time thing. You're now committed to this.
Amen. Let's do it.
Full Fat Videos does really good character analysis and breakdowns of stuff.
Okay.
Full Fat Videos, and then Brown Table.
Brown Table. That's interesting. All right.
So I'm all about the why and breakdown of character on YouTube. The YouTube videos where they break down. For me, like when we do, this is kind of a knock on our reviews. On our reviews, I feel like we kind of get too caught up in oh, that's stupid. There's no reason why he would do that. You know,
right.
You can't carry this thing down these stairs. Like some sort of plot point that doesn't really matter. I'm more interested in, let's dive into the character. Like, why is this character? Why is this? What does this symbolize? What does this mean? What is the message we are supposed to learn from this?
Oh man,
that's my thing on.
You're gonna love Wisecrack then.
Oh, I gotta check it out.
They did a whole thing on the Western and how Logan was a modern day Western.
Oh man,
go back to the Good, Bad, Ugly with the Duke or not with Duke, with Clint Eastwood, and oh dude, you're gonna love that. Definitely. Check out the take for the Game of Thrones stuff, but you need to go to Wisecrack for the character breakdown. But anyways,
I love it.
Oh goodness, where do we go before we get on that tangent?
Well, you were talking about Theon. Here's my character that I really enjoy. Yes. Not as wide a range of emotions, but pretty close.
Okay.
I love the fact that Game of Thrones made me hate Jaime Lannister, and now I love the guy. And he's I love him.
About that.
I'm about right, and I know that it's like, it's kind of weird because he still wants to fuck his sister.
You know what? But the only Game of Thrones can almost make that okay.
They make it okay.
Like, I don't even care, especially because that's really what they did in those days.
Oh yeah,
they kept the bloodlines pure. That really,
I enjoy the fact that he's this man that at the end of the day, he was when Robert's Rebellion happened and all that stuff.
The
Mad King. He was trying to do the right thing.
He was.
He
went down.
But he lost his honor doing it, and his honor is almost as important to him as doing the right thing. Yeah. And this whole time, he's been labeled as the Kingslayer, and he kind of lived up to it. You know, he was like, okay, fine, I'll embrace this shit, even though he hates it.
Right.
You know, he's the Kingslayer, and you're not an honorable person because you killed your king.
Right.
And all he wants,
people just kept bashing him about it too.
And all he wants people to know is that I was trying to do the right thing. And this is, and now that Westeros is being invaded by the White Walkers, he almost goes, this is my chance to get redemption and clear my name.
Yeah,
all I wanted to do was the right thing. He said, I made a promise. I'm going to fight.
South.
Yeah, I'm marching.
Yep.
And for me, I don't know, that whole the whole redemption of this guy's a fucking bastard guy.
Great,
that's fucking his sister, and he pushes a kid out a window.
Yeah.
Now, and and he still has his faults. He still loves and supports Cersei blindly, almost at times.
Yep, absolutely.
And he does these terrible. He kills his own fucking cousin in season 2, I believe, or season 3.
It was season 2.
Yeah, so he's still a rotten person at times, but he was raised with honor, and he was put in an impossibly tough situation where he was sworn to protect his king, yet his king was going down the rabbit hole of madness. And he had an impossible
down the rabbit hole. That dude was mad. What did they say? Chaos is a ladder,
right?
No, chaos. He was in a pit. That dude fell, and he was all in.
But he had It was an impossible decision, and he did what he thought was best. And he's labeled as a traitor for it.
Yeah, he is. I'm telling you, dude. I could do. I thought about this in the past, and just doing this with you now is really kind of getting me that desire to do it again. I could do an entire podcast breaking down episodes of Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah,
like I kind of feel like we might need to do that. To be honest with you, when season 8 comes out, I feel like we need to do recap podcasts of season 8.
Oh yeah. Oh, and we can have you on Jock and Nerd too.
Yeah. But I feel like this. This needs to happen.
Oh yeah, we can have. I mean, we can do whatever you want. There's no one stopping us from doing all of this. I love the thought analysis that I have with Game of Thrones is the same thought analysis I have with the Marvel Universe. Where for instance, Tony Stark.
Okay.
Tony Stark in the first Iron Man is a cocky motherfucker.
Yep.
Who builds weapons for fun. Basically,
he's a
warmonger. And war profiteer, has no. He's working with the government to build these weapons. He doesn't give a fuck about anybody.
Right.
Notices that the weapons he's building are killing innocents. Decides to change his ways. Goes from that to being an independent superhero because you can't trust the government because he's been burned by the fact that his weapons are being sold to terrorists. Goes from that to then working on a team. So now he's gone from an independent hero to working on a team in the Avengers. Then he notices that aliens are invading, so there's more to his life. He's got purpose now. He has to protect the world. It's about his legacy and what kind of legacy can he leave behind. So to protect this legacy, he builds a suit of armor around the world that backfires against him, Ultron. This causes innocents to die, and he realizes his legacy is being destroyed, and what he's trying to do needs to be put in check. So now he's working with the government. So he goes from independent person working on his own, independent of the government, to team, to now working with the government to fight against his own team. And then he meets Thanos, who's the guy that's been in his dreams since the very beginning as the guy that he is supposed to come up against. And he goes up against this guy, the guy he's been preparing his entire life for, and he fails.
Okay. All right. Now I'm going to take that a step further. And then you look at somebody like a Captain America who started off completely pro-America, completely pro-government. Everything is black and white. It's good and it's bad. And then he slowly starts to turn into what Tony Stark was at the beginning. You see what I'm saying? So you have Tony who started off solo and became all about the government. And then you have Captain America who came all about the government and ultimately goes against the government. Right. Yeah. It's such an awesome character arc. So it's perfect the way you say it.
Both of their character arcs
Alpha and Omega. It's great.
In conjunction with one another are fantastic.
And then, when you say Thanos, let's be very clear. Tony Stark would have pulled that off had
Star-Lord?
I know his name. I still want to say it. Had Star-Lord just stopped for 2 minutes.
Well, let's
get the glove off. Let me get the glove off.
Let me
first.
explain to you Star-Lord's position.
I get it. You don't have to explain it. He's a human. He responded. He had a reaction.
Not only is he a human, he is a stunted human that has grown. Yes. He's a man-child that just found out that the only girl that actually has ever loved him was killed by this man.
Yeah, and what did he say? What was his favorite film of all? Flash Gordon or whatever?
Footloose.
Footloose. Thank you.
Flash
Is that still the greatest film ever?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Is that the most famous movie ever? So I get it.
Yeah.
He had a very human reaction. Yes, he had a childlike reaction, if you will.
Right.
The point is, had he not had that childlike reaction,
they would have won.
They would have won.
Yeah.
The glove was almost off. They had a great plan. Like, it was real close, but then he just, he reacted. And so saying that to say, Tony would have won. Like, I don't like this idea that, Tony lost. Tony lost, but it wasn't really because of Tony.
No.
It was because of freaking Star-Lord, Peter Quill, that can't decide when to keep his mouth shut and stay back. Like, he had a plucky attitude. Don't call me plucky. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
You had a plucky attitude. It wasn't Tony that lost. But then, you get to that Battle of Wakanda, right?
Yeah.
And you're cheering because you're not cheering. You've got bated breath because you know it's coming. You know that there's no way they're going to stop this guy. It just can't happen. Mm-hmm. But then you see your heroes, your War Machines falling, your Black Panthers falling, Okoye getting smacked around, and you see Steve Rogers, literally put all his might into stopping Thanos with one hand, take a right hand to the face,
right,
and he's just like lights out cold. But then the most gut wrenching scene, if you will. Oh goodness, it was a tough scene to watch, and not because it was like emotional, but it was just like, wow, there's actually some real weight to this scene. Was when Scarlet Witch was trying to destroy the Mind Stone off of Vision with one hand and trying to hold Thanos back with the other.
Mm-hmm. Tears
in her eyes because she knew what she had to do, and she finally destroys the Mind Stone, and Thanos just reverses time.
Yep, he's just like. He lets her live out that pain of having to do it, and then he just reverses it in 2 seconds, and it's all for naught.
And then he just takes the stone and rips it from his forehead, and then he just lays there motionless like that. I was like, God, Thanos is a beast. I'm like, yo.
You know who had a really good character arc too in that movie?
Who?
Thor. And
if you look at all his movies, he's had a good character arc.
He's had a really good one too, but especially so Ragnarok, they played him up as kind of goofy, but then I loved what they did with him in Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
they basically said he's using that jokey attitude to mask the fact that he's lost literally everything in his life and lived 1,000 years, and all the things he's seen are all gone. Everything that he's ever cared about, and he has this false bravado of being tough, but it's really just false. It's a coping mechanism. He's really actually a sad person that has really. And the thing is too, is I watched some character. I think it was on Full Fat Videos or. I
can't wait to check these out.
Yeah, Full Fat Videos. They did a Thor analysis, and it was like
spot on. Huh?
Yeah, it was spot on. And they go he doesn't go for the head because his ego, even though he's lost all these things, his ego tells him that he's always going to win. He's always going to find a way. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't go for the head because he wants to taunt Thanos and let him know, I told you I was going to kill you. I'm going to get the last laugh. And it's that ego that ends up costing him because if Thanos was in that situation, Thanos goes for the head. Because Thanos he will do what it takes because he believes what he is doing is for the right reasons. Whereas Thor isn't going for the head because he just thinks he's going to win no matter what.
Yeah.
And he ends up costing him.
You're right. It's very, very similar. Bravado. It's very similar to Oberyn Martell dancing around the mountain.
Yep.
When he could have very easily just killed him.
Right.
Just leave the spear in and kill him. And you can almost see where Oberyn Martell panics. Not to, I just love Game of Thrones.
Oh, I know you do. I love it too. I love nerding out about this.
But it's just like, you could almost see him panic when he thought the mountain was dying. He's like, no. You have to confess. You can't die yet. I don't allow you to die. You have to confess. You need to say her name. Like, tell me why. Tell me why. Who gave you the order? Who told you to do it?
You killed her.
You raped her. You murdered her.
You murdered her children.
Tell me who. Tell me who told you. I remember. And he just grabs him.
I like the part too where he goes, I remember, and he falls, and there's a quick shot of him on his back, and you can just see the panic in his face, like, oh my God, I fucked up.
Yep. And it was at that, if you could pause it, and it was at that moment, Oberyn Martell knew he effed up. Do you, and then the mountain grabs him and it's just, it's over.
Do you do a weekly segment on your show about Thrones? I saw that on your show.
Or you
don't get to do it as much now?
I don't get to do it as much.
They don't watch Thrones?
Because, nobody, here's the truth. Mm-hmm. I'm the pop culture guy.
That's right.
So I'm the one that pretty much keeps up with.
Jason dabbles a little bit.
Jason does that, and Jason's good about it. So that's not to throw shade at either one of them. It's just we all have our niche, right? Well, I can do the political. I'm more of the pop culture / entertainment / if I'm going to do sports, it's going to be basketball guy, right? And then you've got Haas, who is a socio-political guy, and you've got Jason,
and he's passionate.
And he's very passionate.
And he is.
And it's so awesome when you get Haas going. Like, it's just, you just sit back and you watch. It's very Stephen A. Smith-ish.
I like it.
But, and then you have Jason, who is just all politics, right? Mm-hmm. And baseball. So he's politics and baseball. So we all have our niche. There is nobody that I've met in my, 10 years of watching Game of Thrones, more or less, that's as passionate about it as I am. Mm-hmm. So I can go on a 30-minute tangent, as we've done on this show, about Game of Thrones and not skip a beat. And these guys would be like,
you done yet, bro?
Yeah. So let's take a break. And so it's hard to do that as the host. You have to be able to try to balance it, right?
Yeah.
You can't allow yourself to go too far one way or too far the other. But I don't get to do that. Saying that to say I don't get to do that on this show often because, one, Game of Thrones is obviously not in season. And two, they're just not as into it as I am. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's exciting to be able to just absolutely nerd out about Game of Thrones.
You know what? Give me a quick, just brief history on how your show started, how you guys all got together.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I know it's politics and pop culture. It's an interesting mix of.
Yeah, it's an interesting juxtaposition, if you will. So. Obviously, there was an event that happened in American history. We elected a Cheeto as president of the United States of America. And in doing that, there were just a lot of things that just didn't make sense. And we could start to see the temperature change. We could start to see the temperature.
Now, when you say we, all three of you were already friends prior to this?
Yeah, we were already friends. Jason and Haas were in a biker club, and I was familiar with the club through an associate. So I knew these guys. We weren't tight, but we all were familiar, if you will. Okay. Although Haas will swear he never met me. I said, Haas, I met you, but whatever. I digress. We're good now. Okay. So, he followed me when I was doing my radio show at the college, and I would Facebook Live it. And he was like, I'd love to put something together with you. So we talked about it, and I said, dude, I'd love to do it. I'd love to be able to talk about these type of situations, because there was a point on my show where I stopped, because it was a music-based show. And I had got with my producer. This was right after I think 2 of the African-American killings. One was Trayvon Martin. The other one was Philando Castile.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Philando Castile. So
was that the one in Ferguson?
I want to say that was the one in Ferguson. Okay. But the sad part is there were so many that it's really hard to pinpoint it. Right. So I did a show about that, and I just told my producer, say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop the music, and I want to have a roundtable discussion about what's going on in our country and what we need to do to try to fix it. And he watched that show, and it was after that he was like, I want to do this show where we call it Voice from the Underground, because we essentially want to make sense of what's the senseless. We want to be able to talk about things that are affecting our community, affecting our world, and try to talk about it from a relatively neutral point of view. I'd almost say that we're all independent. Mm-hmm. Jason considers himself an independent. Haas considers himself an independent. And truthfully, outside of our current president, I'm probably much more of a right-left. I have some Republican views with some Democratic views as well, which I think is important to kind of have a mixture of the two. If I had to identify, I'd probably be slightly more Republican than Democrat. But that's a conversation for another day.
I'll just say real quick that I think it's important to. I think it's hard for me to believe that you can be everything, all on the right or all on the left. I feel like there's more gray area in life.
There has to be some gray. Yeah. There really has to be. I agree with that wholeheartedly. So, to make a long story short-ish, we really just wanted to come together and give a voice to the voiceless and try to make some sense out of the craziness that was going on in our world. And, we wanted to take a sometimes heavy-handed, but mostly lighthearted approach to it. But we want to be able to talk about serious topics and have legitimate conversations, so we can have, a member of the Ku Klux Klan be a guest on the show and have a conversation. Maybe try that. Now we haven't had that. But my point is,
that'd be crazy.
We want to be able. I think that'd be a great thing to do.
That'd be awesome,
because there will be questions that you want to ask. I want to know where you. I'm a much more philosophical guy. I want to understand why, and I want the chance to understand why. And if at the end of it we just can't do it, then we just can't do it. And we have to agree to disagree and move on. But I want the opportunity to be a spark that changes something. Mm-hmm. I don't want to just let things go as a status quo. I want to be able to say, well, let's understand it. Let's just not blatantly label things. It's like labeling somebody crazy. The people, there's a good chance that they're not crazy. You just don't understand them. Let's understand them. I want to dive in. I want to figure that type of stuff out. So, people like Socrates were my idols growing up, trying to understand, philosophically people. Mm-hmm. And with Voice from Your Underground, we have the opportunity to talk to people that we wouldn't normally talk to, engage with people that we wouldn't normally engage with, and be able to kind of make sense of some of the things that we just don't understand. We don't understand how quickly this world has changed. We don't understand. This world is almost unrecognizable at times because of the disparity between blacks and whites, and how quickly the political temperature has changed, and how now that changes the economic temperature, how that changes the socioeconomic temperature, how that changes how we view each other as people, as individuals, and how racism was never gone away, but it was much more subdued, and now we feel like it's much more prominent. there are just so many things that we wanted to be able to touch on and talk about and have intelligent conversation while we have some fun. And sometimes it's a little tongue in cheek. We want to be able to have an educated conversation and be able to just try to make some sense of it, you know. And we like to sprinkle in, like I said, some pop culture,
make it lighten it up a little bit.
Stuff. Try to lighten it, and I think that's more that's more me, because I'm like, dude, I can't spend 2.5 hours just getting angry.
Yeah,
because we have a long podcast. We don't know what short podcasts are.
We're the same way, dude. So preaching to the choir on the long podcast.
Yeah, but it's just like, you know, we can't do 2 hours of just getting our heads kicked.
It's tough.
Like, we gotta. It is tough, and honestly, it's just the world we live in. And while I want to be able to touch on the real, I don't need to spend 2 hours touching on when I can walk outside and experience it.
Yeah,
you know.
The thing is, too, is I feel like social media, especially if you're on social media, that stuff is all over it. That it, you know. I feel like when I'm around my friends, and maybe this is just me, but when I'm around my friends, we don't talk politics all that much. These issues that are you know, prevalent around, you know, all over America, and especially discussed on the internet. I just feel like I surround myself with people where I get along with everybody, and we all have, you know, we all might have different opinions on things, but we don't fight. Like, these things don't have, like, I don't understand how the world's gotten to this point where it's immediate name calling and immediate anger. You know, I don't see it in my life. My everyday life, unless I'm trying to seek it out, I don't see it. Is my point.
Well, the problem is that with social media, you've got these social activists, you got these social justice warriors, and everybody has a voice, and the unfortunate truth to it is that everybody that has a voice doesn't always necessarily need to share, or everybody that has an opinion doesn't always need to be sharing that opinion, right? Just because you have an opinion on something doesn't mean everybody needs to hear it all the time. But the beauty and the beast, if you will, of social media is that it's instant access.
Right. So
everybody has the opportunity to hear everybody's opinion, and then everybody has an opportunity to make a comment on somebody's opinion. And you know, well, what's to stop my comment from being able to be shown, but you can say your piece.
Right.
The unfortunate truth to it is that it's where we are. It's how we've gotten to this point. As a country, social media definitely has had its purpose in it. It's hand in it, if you will. And we're not escaping that. Like, there's no going back. There's no going back to the way things used to be. There's no going back to, you know, for you to get instant access to me, you've got to, you know, call me on my phone and hope that I pick up, or send me an email with the chance that I'll respond, as opposed to hitting me up on Twitter, hitting me up on Facebook, hitting me up on Instagram, whatever, where you have instant access to celebrities, social news, the works. You know, it's just the instant access society that we live in.
I have a theory about social media.
Okay.
Here's my thought.
Go for it.
If you put me or you or anybody in a room, let's say there's 3 to 5 of us, different backgrounds, different viewpoints, I think we'd end up all getting along. Or I think we could figure it out. I think when you extrapolate that to millions upon millions of people on social media, and you're limited to a certain amount of characters where you can't see the tone of what I'm saying, you can't. We're not having direct conversation. You're not seeing my face. You're not seeing my mannerisms. When you put that now on social media, and it's meant to be interpreted in millions of different ways, I think that's where fights and arguments and all that stuff. I don't think we're meant to communicate the way we're communicating right now.
Well, if you, I mean, that's a great point, man. Great point. And if you think about it, the majority of communication is through body language,
right?
If you go back to, you know, when I was in school, I studied communication, and, you know, 75% of, you know, and I could be off on that number, but a great majority of our communication is done through body language. It's done through very subtle shifts in our mood, shifts in the way we speak, shifts in our tone. That's how we communicate.
Right.
Using the words is really just a means to it, but it's not the major way. You could have you know how if you do you have pets? You have pets? You have
I live with a dog. I mean, it's not my dog.
Okay.
I live with a couple that owns a dog, so yes.
Okay. All right.
That's
so
their pet, and I get to come home. I get all the benefits of playing with the dog.
Any of the bad stuff. I get you. All right. So with that being said, you can tell variations of a bark.
Yes.
You can tell an aggressive bark with a happy bark, with a sad bark, with a just give me attention bark. But there are no words being said. But you can absolutely tell the mood of that dog.
Right.
With the baby, you can tell a cry. There's a difference between I'm hungry cry, I'm in pain cry, I have a problem cry. Like, so saying that to say the words that we use are almost not near, or I shouldn't say almost, are not nearly as important as the way in which we use the words.
Yep.
And the way in which we receive that communication the most is through inaudible, or is through body language. It's not through the words that are actually being said. So if you take the way that we tend to communicate and you take away the part that is most important and all we're left with are words, now you have the ability to say what you want to say without, I don't want to say repercussion, but for instance, I'm not a small guy. I'm about 6 feet even, 225, 230 pounds, solid, right? I lift weights. So there are certain things that you're going to say to my avatar that you won't say to my face,
right? For
fear of what may happen to you, right? And that's not to say that I'm out, because I'm not violent. I don't fight. I'm not gonna, that's not me. But if we're walking down the street, you may not know that. You may not be able to tell that. So there are certain things that you're not going to say to me in my face because you don't know how it's going to play out for you. But when you're behind a keyboard and I can't get to you, or somebody can't get to you, somebody can't come to your house, or somebody can't see the way you're saying something, or you can't see the way somebody else is saying something, all you have to go on is words. And if that's not our main method of conversation, then we're setting ourselves up to fail, period. That's why a lot of these relationships nowadays are going the way of the dinosaur from the standpoint of people don't talk anymore.
No,
they
text.
They don't. So there's no context to it. There's no nonverbal cues. There's no nonverbal signals.
I really believe I'm almost positive we're not meant to be communicating the way we communicate now.
Absolutely.
Which is why I think Snapchat and Instagram, like live and stories, I think those are gaining prominence. I think those are almost now becoming cooler per se, just because it's different. And you're getting more authentic things, more authentic communication. I hope that stuff becomes more popular, and the Twitters and all that stuff kind of tend to go away, just because it's just not the right way to communicate.
Absolutely. Our communication can't be boiled down to 120 characters or 180 characters.
Well, even just text messaging one another.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's why I enjoy the video stuff.
Oh yeah. It's fantastic.
You see it. That's communication, being able to see my face. Like, I could easily, if I were to text you, I hate you, there's so many different ways you can take it. But if I send you a video and I'm smiling, but the words that I use are the exact same, like, I hate you, or man, I hate you. You know what I mean? Like, there's different ways to say it. There's diversity in how you say it. But because of a text message, you don't get to see the nuances. You don't get to see the subtle hand gestures. You don't get to see the smile or the wink. You can't see that type of stuff. I have to text you that. Or if I say it, I have to put LOL behind it for you to think that I'm joking. As opposed to if I'm having a conversation with you one-on-one, you can see if I'm joking. Right. You can see my response.
Body language is very
body language. I'm telling you, it's the majority of how we communicate.
Well, that's why
you take that away, you got nothing.
I was going to say, that's why I think people are really starting to gravitate towards podcasts, because it's usually, I mean, there are edited podcasts for sure. But, long form conversations such as this, I think people really enjoy that stuff because, people can't be boiled down to a 5-minute news segment on Fox or something, or, a Twitter conversation or a few text messages. Like, hearing just someone listening to this conversation, they get a much better read on who you are, who I am, right. And we're actually having, legitimate conversation that, you don't have to read. You can just sit down. It's passive learning.
That's true. Very, very true. And I think that we fall, that's a great point. I think we fall into, you have two different type of people. You have people that want bites and pieces.
Yep.
And you have people that want full course meals, right? With the podcast, I think you get a full course meal. But when you start doing things like your Snapchat, your Instagram live stories, things of that nature, you have some people that just want to process things quickly and move forward.
Yeah.
So, I think we do have a niche. We have people that want to hear what we have to say. And that's the beauty of podcasting. That's the beauty of the audience that we have. I never thought, we just started a Patreon recently.
Good for you.
Probably within the last 6 or 7 months or so. Probably sooner than that. But the point is, I never thought that somebody would actually want to pay me to hear my thoughts.
Isn't it awesome?
It's a very humbling,
right?
More so than being awesome. It's a very humbling feeling. It's a very humbling feeling.
Awesome and humbling are synonymous for me.
Okay, fair enough. Well, it's a feeling like I can't believe somebody actually thinks highly enough of what I do and what I say in my thought process to want to pay me to help ensure that I continue to do that.
That's a beautiful stance. Rug Boy, you know Rug Boy, right, from our show?
Yeah.
He said the same thing. He goes, this show is the greatest, besides my kids and my marriage, this show is one of the greatest things I've ever accomplished in my life. And I'm like, well, why is that? He goes, people are giving us money to talk. You know how gratifying that is? Like, I've never created anything where people wanted to pay for it. And it's something as simple as just talking.
Right.
And people are willing to just donate. I mean, they're just donating to us. They're not, I mean, we do provide extra content and there's our tiers to the things, but I truly believe a lot of the people that donate to our show and probably to your show are just doing it because, hey, these are cool guys and I want to support them.
Absolutely. And there's just not a better feeling. There really isn't. Like I said, to know that somebody cares enough about what you're saying and what you're doing to say, you know what, I want to support that. And I think that's all. I think if people felt like they were supported, we could change the world. If they actually felt like they weren't the only ones who thought the way that they thought. And, again, we talked about how we started Voice from Your Underground. That's exactly what it is. We want to give a voice to people that don't feel like they have one. We want to be able to spark the flame that ignites change, that ignites, a new way of thinking. And we want to be able to do it in a way that people respect, that people respond to, and that people can enjoy. And you can hear the nuanced different styles. There are times where we don't agree on everything on Voice from Your Underground. There are times where I've gone at Jason. There are times where Jason's gone at me, because sometimes somebody will say something. It's like, well, hold on. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Let's dive into that some more. Let's just not, because at face value, that sounds real stupid.
Right.
So let's dive into that a little bit more and see what exactly it is that you were talking about.
I think that's important too, is meeting people and having conversations with people that don't think like you at all times.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a lot of people get in their safe zones, bubbles. Yep. I was going to say spaces, but that's like now a new term for things. But people get in their bubbles where they find like-minded people and they everyone agrees on everything. Yeah.
Yep.
But I think real, and I'm sure you agree, real growth and real, learning comes from talking to someone you disagree with.
Yeah.
And then figuring out, and someone that, is willing to have a conversation with you and maybe see if there's some common ground. Not someone that just disagrees with you and goes, fuck you, but someone that, can explain their position and then make you, at least see their side.
Yeah. You said it perfectly earlier when we were referring to the different political parties and how I don't think anybody can be completely right. I don't think anybody can be completely left, because you have to be able to have a level of understanding. And I feel like, again, if we had that in this world, we'd be in such a better place. But there's no gray area for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And the problem is that they feel like you can't. Like, that's almost a sign of weakness to be able to understand. And I think that's the biggest sign of strength, is the fact that you're willing to understand where the other person comes from, because that's when you don't snuff out fire with fire. You don't conquer hate with hate.
Right.
Hate begets more hate. Violence begets more violence. You have to conquer hate with love. You have to put out fire with water. You have to use opposite elements. And if you just keep coming to each other with a plucky attitude, it's not gonna work. Somebody has to put the sword down. Somebody has to put or wave the flag and just say, hey, look, let's figure this out. Just like very similar to what Jon Snow did with the wildlings. It's like we've been going at each other for ages.
You always got a way to tie this back.
I do. But it's perfect, right? It's an analogy. Nobody knows why we're fighting. Nobody knows why the wildlings we're fighting we're fighting the Night's Watch.
Right.
Nobody. I mean, that's just what they did. You know, and that's everything that Alistair Thorne ever said was, you know, we've been fighting the wildlings for generations and generations. And, you know, okay, well, why?
John was like, well, yeah, exactly. Why? Why are we doing this?
Tell us why we're fighting the wildlings.
It took him hooking up with Egret to go, oh, these are real people too.
It did. It did. It took him hooking up with Egret and just spending time with them.
Right.
That nobody else has ever done. And it's like, okay, well, they just want their people safe.
Right.
They want to get behind our walls because they know what's out there. And it's no different. They just want to protect their people.
Mm-hmm.
Mance Rayder, who was the king and, you know, the king of the wildlings, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
The king beyond the wall.
King beyond the wall. Won't bend the knee.
He won't bend the knee though, but he just wanted to save his people. That's it.
And that was it. It was very simple for him.
Simple, exactly. And that could have been accomplished with what? A conversation. But instead, we've got decades upon generations of just conflict.
Yeah.
For no reason.
How are you on time?
I'm just peachy. I'm just getting started.
Okay, cool. We can go for a little longer.
Yeah, I'm good.
I didn't want to make this too political, but I think a lot of that has to do with identity politics.
I think so too.
Where people are so attached to their position where if you disagree, you're not disagreeing with their position, you're disagreeing with them as a person.
Yeah. And that it's very similar. It's very similar to how a lot of us view the workplace. And that's something that even myself, I have to be very cognizant of because, you know, being with the company that I've been with for the last 17 going on 18 years now. Wow.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Us, millennials anymore, right? Have like 10 jobs by that point, 20 jobs by that point.
They just don't do it. No. But, you know, I'm going for my Kobe Bryant 20 years with the company. Right?
Oh, a nice Laker reference.
You like that? Boom.
You don't want to bring up the Lakers too much, right?
Nope. That's why I said Kobe. You said Lakers. I said Kobe. But it gets hard to separate the job from the person, you know, because, you know, and especially as being in management, you put so much of yourself into your job. You know, you put so much of your own personality, what you do into your job. And the one thing everybody always tells you is to not let it become personal. Don't ever take it personal. You know, if there's a criticism, don't take that criticism personal. And the thing that I tell people is that those it's kind of shallow to not take it personal because you're pouring yourself into it. It's not like you're just performing a task. You're performing the task to the best of your ability. You're making that task your own. So when something turns out less than perfect, there are times where you take it personal. Mm-hmm. And what gets hard is when you have somebody that attacks that, you know, that identity that you created, and then you have to find a way to not allow it to become a personal attack. You know, they're just attacking the company, or you're just the face of it. So when you have these political parties that want to go back and forth, and now you're attacking my political party, instead of people wanting to say, okay, well, it's just the party you're attacking, you're not attacking me. They can't differentiate. They can't show that separation of church and state, if you will. Mm-hmm. They can't see the forest for the trees. They're just looking at it as you're making a personal attack on me, when quite frankly, I don't know you, but based on who you're backing, if you will, I feel like I can make an opinion on you, when it's not necessarily always true. Mm-hmm. Now, if I'm just being honest, and you know, I can't lie to you, every time I see somebody with the MAGA hat, I cringe.
Yeah.
I do. I can't help it. No different than, you know, a white person would see me walking down the street and clutch their back a little tighter. Right. You know, and it's just, it's the political climate that we're growing up in, you know, and while I don't think that every person that backs Donald Trump is a racist, the party that backs Donald Trump has shown to support some pretty racist people. Mm-hmm. So it makes me question you, because now you're backing that party, and you have to be very, very careful when you get to that point, because now I'm not separating you from the party, right? Now I'm starting to fall victim to that because we've been conditioned to think that way. It's crazy that a red hat has sparked this almost. I mean, it's not at all equivalent, right. But, you know, it's getting to it's closer to wearing a white hood than it isn't. You know what I'm saying? It is. The way people absolutely are viewing it. Yeah. You know, and a lot of that's
do the media and all that. But I mean, it's crazy that this red hat, which he wore, it was his slogan, and people wore it to just they're supporting Trump. But it wasn't. I don't think people originally put it on. They're like, I hate fucking Mexicans. I'm a racist motherfucker. Like there are people obviously that put it on and that are like that. Right. I like to think. I don't know. I'm pretty optimistic on things. I like to think the majority of people in this world are pretty level-headed.
Yeah, I used to think that the majority of people were pretty level-headed, and I think deep down, I'm an optimist at heart. But I think I have my biggest accomplishment is being a father, right? I take that back. My second biggest accomplishment is being a father. My first biggest accomplishment was accepting Jesus as my Lord and Savior. But my point is, my daughter is at an age where she loves everybody, and she feels like everybody loves her, right?
They do.
And okay, and that's great. The optimist in me is like, baby, that's so awesome. You're such a lovable kid. I can't see how anybody could not love you. But the fact of the matter is, there's going to come a point in time where she's going to find out that people don't all love her. And it's not for anything that she's done.
Right.
It's for just who she is, how she looks. People are going to have an opinion on her, and they're not even going to take the time to get to know her. And it's going to break her heart. And so as a father, it breaks my heart to have to realize that at some point
this all ends.
We have to talk about that.
This facade ends.
This facade goes away, and it's like, at what point? When does the age of innocence end?
How old is she?
She's 7.
It's gonna end pretty soon.
I know.
Kids get mean pretty soon.
Yeah, they get mean pretty. Right around this time, and the unfortunate truth to it is that there are certain conversations that you shouldn't have to have. I have a brother who will be 18 next month, actually. And as a young black man in America, there are conversations that you have to have. If you get stopped by the police, this is what you need to do.
Yeah, that's real unfortunate.
If you find yourself in a neighborhood that, doesn't look comfortable, this is what you need to do. There are conversations that, you think of rites of passage, you think about quinceañeras, you think about, people get 21 and they have a license to go drink, or, they get their license to go do things. Well, now, this is the conversation. Instead of the birds and the bees, we're having a conversation about how to live.
Right.
We're having a conversation about how to get home at the end of the day. And it's the unfortunate truth is that this is the world that we live in now. So when you see something like a MAGA hat, it evokes emotions in me, because not for myself, but I have a child.
Right.
I have people that count on me, and
it's not about you anymore.
It's not about me. You're right. It's not about me personally. You can do what you want to do to me. I just had a conversation with the guy today about, having a conceal and carry license. And I remember, if you'd have called me 3 years ago, I was completely against it, completely against ever having a gun. Not that I have a problem with the Second Amendment. You have a right to bear arms, brother, bear arms. Do you? I just don't feel like it's necessary in my household. But as I've gotten older and a bit more experienced, if you will, I've come to realize that it's not about me. You can take my money, take my wallet, do whatever it is you want to do to me. But, when there's a chance that it can affect my family, when there's a chance it can affect my wife, when there's a chance it can affect my child, now it's a different ball game.
Yeah.
Me is one thing, but I will protect my family with my life if I have to.
What I've heard about
changed my outlook on it. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't have kids, but what I've heard is, when you do have one, if that doesn't fucking change you and change your outlook, you there's no hope for you.
It makes it difficult, and I love my wife, but she doesn't have any kids. She didn't have any kids prior to us. So now, with us having a kid, there are certain conversations that I have with her where she doesn't look at it the way I do. And you have to be very, very careful, because you never want to put someone down. But at the same token, it's one of those things where you can't understand
right.
it. You know,
it's an impossible thing to understand.
It is. Yeah. It's an impossible thing to understand. And it's not because you don't want to understand it, but you can't understand something like that until you go through. You know, there's a certain love that comes with having a child, with bearing a child. There's a certain love that comes with raising a child from the ground up. Like, this is me pouring the best of myself into you. It's a completely different ball game. And when you have a child, your viewpoint does change. You know, now whether you are ready to accept that or not is entirely up to you. But your viewpoint does change, because now it's no longer about you. It becomes about doing the best you can for that child. And it scares me, the idea of, like I said, when my child becomes of age to where she realizes that the world doesn't love her and the age of innocence is lost. And, you know, again, seeing the red hats and seeing that it's a scary thing to think about. You know, forget the fact that she's a girl and, you know,
there's all that,
kids have access to so much.
Yeah,
you know,
there's all that baggage of having a girl.
Exactly. You know, forget. You know, I have the fact that I have a little girl, then I have a little black girl.
Right.
You know, and she's a chocolate baby. You know, so there's no questioning if she's black. She's a black girl. You know, it's not like she's light skinned where, you know, oh, you might be mixed. No, baby, you black. You know, so there are just so many things that you think of, and you know, those hats evoke such an emotion out of me that I really have to check my heart a lot of times, because I'll find myself not wanting to deal with that person. I'll find myself actively avoiding, and as a Christian, that's not what I'm called to do.
Yeah.
But I'll find myself doing it. I have to check myself and repent of that and check my heart, because it's not, we're called to love the sinner and not the sin that they're in.
And the thing is too, is that's unfortunate too. And I can't say if I saw someone, I don't think I've ever encountered someone with a MAGA hat, to be honest with you. Yeah, but if I have,
live in Florida, so.
but if I have, I might feel the same way, where I'd like to think I judge the person for who they are, not what they're wearing. Right. But I don't know. It's just, it's unfortunate that, you know, something as simple as a hat can cloud what you think of someone without even really meeting them. You know,
it does. Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy.
It's a scary world we live in, brother. That's why I like to escape into Game of Thrones.
Well, I think this is great. I want to close on this. It is a scary world. You know why?
Why is that?
LeBron James ain't making the playoffs this year.
Oh, no. You jerk.
What is going on?
You know what? Here's the truth.
I want a quick Laker talk, and then we can wrap this up.
All right. I was hoping you were going to play this. Here's the truth, man. The truth is, one, we were expecting an awful lot out of LeBron James. We were expecting LeBron James to come over to the Lakers, and all of a sudden they become a playoff contending team, because this is what LeBron James does. He goes to teams, right? But he's done this in the East.
Yes, I agree.
The disparity of talent is substantial. You know, where you can be a sub 500 team and still be the 6th, 7th, 8th seed in the playoffs. You don't get to pull that card in the West. It's just not the talent level is too close. You know, you think of like Dragon Ball Z, Power Level 9,000, where they're all relatively close as far as power level.
West has been the dominant conference for a while now.
For quite a while now. So because of that dominance, you know, LeBron James being the player that he is, that's not enough. And to frank, it's not like LeBron had any substantial help by the time they started getting pretty good. And that was a point where they were playing pretty good basketball. They were
until
like
he got hurt.
5-6 seed. But then LeBron got hurt, Lonzo got hurt, Ingram got hurt, Kuzma got hurt, Rondo got hurt. Like, they got bit with the injury bug, something fierce. And I always feel bad, because I don't know what it is about the Lakers, but, you know, I remember that 2004 team where you had Malone, Peyton, Shaq, Kobe.
Yep.
And Malone and Peyton were hurt, right? And then, you know, when the Lakers kind of re-upped years later, closer to the end of Kobe's career, and you had Steve Nash, Dwight Howard.
They came over damaged.
Yeah. You know, they came over hurt. So you have these teams that on paper look fantastic, you know, as far as what they're supposed to do. And, you know, the reality is basketball, just like anything else, is, you know, they're X factors. How the bodies are going to respond. You know, LeBron James is 34. He's not
in his prime
he's not
anymore.
18,
No.
He's not. Yeah, he's coming out of his prime now. He's slowly on the decline, and for him to be able to say that this is the first year that he's missed any significant games, in his 17 years, came into the league in 2003. We're now in 2019, so 16, almost 17-year career in the NBA, and for you to say that you waited till 34 to actually have any significant injuries is phenomenal. He really has been an Iron Man in the NBA for a long time, and mind you, he's gone to how many straight NBA finals?
Was it 6, I think?
So he's got some miles.
Might be more.
So it's
7,
fair.
right?
Yeah,
Or 8? Is it 8?
7 or 8. It's
8
It's up there.
because he
pointed
right. He's played the Warriors 4 times, and then before that he was with the Heat 4 times. Yeah, okay, so 8.
So the point is, he's got a lot of miles, and for him to have finally just now had an issue at 34, that's incredible.
It's impressive.
That's a testament to how well he's taking care of his body and so on and so forth. So the truth is, they didn't have enough weapons, and the weapons that they did have, they got hurt, and they got hurt at a very inopportune time.
They got hurt as that team was starting to kind of gel.
Yeah, they got hurt, and then you start losing key pieces, and then now you got to try to reintegrate them when they get healthy. But then you lose another key piece in the process. You don't have a chance, and you still got teams like the Golden State Warriors who just get better and better because they add more and more talent. I mean, you go from a team that won 73 games in a season to a team that won 73 games, and then you add Kevin Durant.
Right.
And then on top of that, you add a DeMarcus Cousins. Like where it doesn't get worse. Like it only gets better.
Exactly.
So, I think that the truth is we need to really be careful because there's no way that we could have expected anything other than, a okay season for LeBron. Especially considering all the hurt and the pain and the injuries, and we just got to be real careful as Lakers fans, and you have to be very careful because what did you really expect? Did you really expect LeBron to be able to pull him into the playoffs? And you know what? He might have been able to had they all stayed healthy.
I think he would. I think they definitely would have made the playoffs if they all stayed healthy. I think what also really hurt them, not only hurt them, but just kind of changed the narrative on everything, and now everyone's like, "Holy shit!" Was the trade? I mean, everyone was thinking that Anthony Davis might be coming over, and if they add him, that Lakers team might be a lot better.
Well, that's a twofold because they were thinking, if you add Anthony Davis, excuse me, if you add Anthony Davis, the Lakers would be better. Which it could have been, but what would you have given up to get Anthony
They would have given up
Davis?
everything.
Yeah. And then the truth of the matter is, the fact that they didn't give up everything to get Anthony Davis really kind of sabotaged.
That hurt them too,
because you got a lot of young guys
they got leaked
who aren't in the league, and they got leaked. And I tell you, the Pelicans.
Oh, they did them dirty.
They did them real dirty.
They did.
That GM Demps, he did them real dirty by leaking all that information and knowing that these are young, impressionable players in the league, young men, 19, 20-year-old men. And I use the term men very loosely because they're not old enough to really understand what being a man is yet.
They're boys.
So you've got these young kids, young men who don't know the league, don't understand they've gone through these seminars, and kudos to the NBA for trying to put them into programs where they learn the league, where they learn how to manage their money, where they learn how to understand that this is a business first. But the truth of the matter is, when somebody acts like they don't want you, you have a very hard time of plugging back in with that team.
Yeah.
And for all those names to have gotten, and not just one or two, every one of those names got leaked. Everybody
literally, the entire roster.
The entire roster got leaked, and essentially, so now you're alienating LeBron James because
everyone thinks it's GM LeBron,
and everybody thinks it's LeBron that did it. And then you've got these players who are all butthurt because they were trade bait, so to speak, and now you've got to turn around and try to play with this team that you feel like ultimately at the end of the day doesn't want you. I mean, look at what that did to Lamar Odom.
Yeah.
When the Lakers had traded Lamar Odom essentially to Dallas to have, or was it Dallas or was it Houston? I think it was Houston in the Chris Paul trade.
Oh, it was Houston. Yeah, it was him and Pau Gasol. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So essentially, because I think he was supposed to go to Dallas. I think Pau was supposed to go somewhere. Lamar was supposed to go to Dallas. But the point is, you see what that does to a player, and that was Lamar Odom, and he was a champion. He was a champion.
Two-time champion. Yeah.
Part of the Los Angeles Lakers, and he was a veteran at that point, so he knew the way the game was played.
He also was doing a lot of coke.
Yeah, touche. But
that might have affected his mood too.
It could have affected his mood. We might have to chalk that up to the cocaine.
We'll have to ask Rick James what he thinks about that.
Rick James. But yeah, it makes it tough, man. So they had to. Long story short, LeBron, he did what he normally does, and that's galvanize teams as much as he can. But the truth is, he's just one person, and nobody can win with just one. Nobody can win just one.
Here's my question to close us out.
All right.
GM, Magic Johnson, LeBron, Lakers, do they win a championship while those two are there?
I think you can know why those two are there, but the question is, one, who do you have as the coach?
Yeah, I think Walton's going to go, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Walton's out the door. I mean, they haven't said in, Magic has supposedly backed Walton, but I think the writing's on.
Well, then you got not that I don't know if he has much influence, but you got LeVar Ball just lighting him on fire every week too.
Yeah, no, I don't think he has. LeVar Ball has no.
No, he has no influence. But that's still not good.
No, it's not good, but that's more on LeVar.
Yeah.
That's not on LeVar.
Right.
And it's unfair. It really is to be such a young coach and be put in a position that you have to have such a spotlight franchise as the Los Angeles Lakers. That's not for a new coach.
No, it's not.
That's not for a brand new head coach. He should have never been put in that position. Personally,
he was put in that position as to guide youngsters, not to all of a sudden get LeBron the next year and now be expected to win.
You know what? That's exactly what happened when LeBron went over to Cleveland with Kyrie.
Right.
I wasn't expecting to get LeBron. I was expecting to be the number one option.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I have to change my game style to fit LeBron. So I get it. I get it. And that's the LeBron effect.
Yeah. Everything becomes heightened. You need now it becomes, there is no time. There's no time to develop.
Mentality. Yeah. It's win now as opposed to, you got time to groom them, and that's the beautiful thing that happened with the Golden State Warriors. They didn't have to go into win now mode.
No.
They had time to build. They had time to groom. Stephen Curry, before he got hot, he stayed injured.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he found the fountain of youth or, whatever it was that he found. But then he got healthy. He got the right training staff behind him. They had gotten great draft picks. They had steals in Draymond Green and Klay Thompson.
Yep.
I mean, they just had some.
Even people people forget about him, but when they won their first championship here, Harrison Barnes was a draft pick for them.
Harrison Barnes was a draft pick, exactly. So they had some really, really strong draft picks, and they had some players that were able to slip through to their picks,
right.
And it really just worked out well for them. But they started from the ground up. They didn't just go buy a team, and I think that ultimately is the problem, is that you go to buy these teams. Like, I don't think outside of the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics that you've had a super team, and obviously Golden State, but GoldenTate didn't.
They built it first,
right.
Yeah,
exactly. So when you have Boston that created the big three with Pierce, Garnett, and Allen,
right.
And then you had Rondo jump into that mix, and then you had Miami obviously with Wade, Bosh, and LeBron. Those are the only times where super teams that I can remember
that I would agree
and won.
I would even. I mean, I think the Heat are a super team, but they did draft Wade. And Wade got them a championship with Shaq, and those guys don't come to Miami if Wade's not there.
That's very true. Very, very true.
They drafted
very
Wade.
True. Yeah, and then the other thing about them is, they came together as opposed to having other players come to them.
Right.
They all kind of formed up and started something at the same time together. So they had to still learn and gel.
Yeah. Definitely still a super team in my opinion. But
definitely super team. Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, so typically when you put super teams together like that, they don't win. You look at the 2004 Los Angeles Lakers who lost to the Detroit Pistons. You look at the 2011 Los Angeles Lakers who could barely make the playoffs because Kobe went down with the Achilles injury.
Right.
It just doesn't. You put super teams together like that, they just don't typically work. Not off the bat. It takes time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this was good, man.
Absolutely, brother. Got to do this.
Yeah,
again.
We'll definitely do this again. Is there anything you want to plug before we close this out?
Just make sure you guys tune in to Voice from the Underground, the podcast. We come at you with the "We Are Gnarly," as Jason likes to. I hate that dang intro.
What does he say?
We're a gnarly juxtaposition.
Oh, yes.
Political and blah 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 blah.
I'm reading a gnarly, spirited, super dope, and often mind-numbing juxtaposition of politics, pop culture, coming straight from the underground to your earballs.
Yeah, man. Good old Jason. I'll be telling him, I said, dude, you do the intro every time. I'll be the host, but you got to do the intro. I can't do that. Because he has a way of doing it. Gnarly, super dope juxtaposition. You're like, come on, man. I can't do that. My cool.
Yeah,
won't let me do
you're
that,
too
bro.
cool, man. You got that silky smooth voice, man. You can't be saying gnarly.
I can't be playing. Oh, yeah, exactly. What I look like saying gnarly? Come on, man. I don't even like it's supposed to come off my lips. Gnarly. What is that?
Awesome, man. Anything else?
No, man. Just brother, I love what you're doing, man. I can't wait to get out here and do it with you.
Yeah,
again.
we're definitely doing this again.
We definitely need to figure out some Game of Thrones.
Oh, for sure, for sure. We'll definitely do some. We'll do this again, and we'll record some Game of Thrones stuff to bonus stuff either one of our podcasts or on Patreon, whatever. We'll figure a way. We'll figure a way to get it out.
Oh yeah.
All right.
We might start something on.
Oh man. Oh, don't say that.
Don't say that out loud.
Don't say that too loud. Imran will start crying.
Don't be mad. Man. Just share the love, man. It's all Potter family love, brother.
It's all good. All right.
All right, bro. Appreciate you, man.